I'm sure that I am not the only sickly child who decides to try to do something in the way of medicine later in life.
I'm of a generation that was told in my training that I didn't have to worry about infectious diseases, that was something that had been conquered. 3 years later, I'm taking care of my first patient who's dying of AIDS.
I was 9 years old in 1941, and that year happened to be a strong influenza year. I remember my my father meeting the train and saying to my mother, who had brought me back, you know, is this Stanley? Because I was had lost a great deal of weight, and as I said, I had a facial paralysis.
And he first came to our unit as a very healthy young adult, and 2 months later he's back. He's 30 pounds lighter. There was nothing I could do for him except keep him as comfortable as I could. That was the last gift I could give him. I still remember that patient 30 years later. And that's the kind of impact it has. We never forget that first patient. We have Gallup polls that show nurses are the most trusted members of the community. And I think that's very true, and I'm very honored to be in a group that's so trusted.
No physician can take care of more than perhaps a couple of thousand patients. And public health is affecting literally millions. So I feel that I've made more of a contribution from my science than from my practice, medical practice.
We need to constantly be moving ahead. We can't wait for the perfect data. We can't wait for the perfect evidence. We can't wait for the perfect policy. We have to keep moving ahead with what we have, because people's lives and experiences depend on it.